Alright, in this podcast we're going to talk about what happens mathematically if I do something like reverse a reaction or add a couple of reactions. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing we want to see is what happens if I reverse a reaction. So here I go from A plus 2B gives me 3C, and the subsequent equilibrium expression is right here. It's the product raised to its coefficient over the reactants. If I change the equation and write it the opposite way, then I get basically my numerator becomes my denominator and vice versa. So I basically get k, there should be k to the minus 1, the inverse of k, or 1 over k. Okay, pretty simply. Okay, if I multiply my coefficients by some factor, this raises the equilibrium constant to a power. That should say power, got cut off. Equal to that constant. So here I have A plus 2B gives me 3C. When I double that, I get the equation below. So if I were to write the equilibrium expression for the top, what I get is K1 is C to the third over A times B squared. If I write the equilibrium expression for the bottom reaction, I double the reaction, right? And now I have C to the sixth over A squared plus B to the fourth. So by doubling this, I am taking this and raising it to the 2 power. Because remember, if I have x squared and I square it, I get x to the fourth. If I have something like x to the third and I cubed it, I get x to the sixth. Okay. So let's say I'm going to add reactions. So let's say I have A plus B gives me C. This is the equilibrium expression for that. Product over reactants. And I have B plus D. My second K is just the products over the reactants. If I have both of those reactions occurring simultaneously and I want to know what the overall K is going to be, I just add them together. So I have A plus 2B plus D as my reactants, giving me as my products C plus E, C plus E. Okay? So if I just write the equilibrium expression based on what I have here, it's C times E over A B squared D. That's what I have here. But if you notice, that is just K1 times K2. Here's K1, here is K2. Okay, so if I add reaction, the new K, the total K, is the product of the two Ks. K1 times K2. Okay, so let's apply all these. So the first thing I want you to do is, given the following reactions, how are K1 and K2 related to K3? So here I have A plus 2B give me C, and then I have 2A plus C gives me 2D, and overall I end up with 3A plus 2B give me 2D. If you notice the C's here cancel out. So what is that going to give me? What's my relationship going to be here? Hopefully you said it's going to be, the answer will be B, because basically what I am doing is I am adding this equation plus this equation to give me this equation. And when I add two equations, my new K is the product of those two Ks. Okay. Let's try another one. Alright, we want to determine the value of K for the reaction. Now my subscripts didn't come over as subscripts, so I have 2H2 plus 2I2 give me 4HI. That's what I want to find the K for. Given that H2 plus I2 gives me 2HI, has a K of 32.7. So take a minute and answer that. Okay, so hopefully you got that so what I am doing here, H2, I2, 2HI, if I double that, I get this. So what we said was it's K, if I double an equation, it's going to be K to the 2, so it's going to be 32.7 squared. And if I do that, I get 1070 from a sig-big standpoint. Okay? And let's take another look at the next one. Now if I have 2HI giving me H2 plus I2, given the same H2 plus I2. So here it looks like you're going to have to figure out the answer, and then I'll come back and explain it. Okay. Okay, so all I'm doing here is I'm reversing this equation, right? And if I do that, K2 is going to be the inverse of K1, which means 1 over K, or 1 over 32.7, which gives me 0.0306. Let's do one more. What is the value for K, of K for A, plus 4C gives me D, given the following reactions? Okay, I've got two different reactions, so take a few minutes and do this one, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Okay, in order to get A plus 4C gives me D, what I need to do is get my B's to cancel out, okay, and be on the opposite sides of the equation. So I'm going to need to flip this one, flip and double. So I'm going to have 4C gives me 2B. You see that? Alright, so when I do that, I'm going to flip, so it's going to be 1 over 0.53, and then I double it, so that's going to be squared. Okay, now let's make sure I can cancel stuff out. So here I'm going to end up with, so my 2B on the product side cancels with my 2B on the reactant side. I end up with A plus 4C gives me D. Okay, so it's going to be the K for this reaction, which we just said is 1 over 0.53 times to the second power, times this K, which is going to be 2.5 because I'm adding them together, and that's going to give me a value of 9.0. Okay, we're going to stop there.